Hunter Trader Trapper Outdoorsman magazine from April of 1939. And then fast forward 81 years, and the Fur Fish and Game magazine from April of 2020. Let's see how they compare. The 1939 Outdoorsman magazine has a color painting of a couple of fellas fishing out of a canoe, and the 2020 also has a color painting of an outdoor scene, some wild turkeys. You can tell that the 1920s magazine is slightly smaller, but not that much smaller. They are both 64 pages in length. The Hunter Trader Trapper from 1939 has not only photographs but also illustrations, but they are all black and white except for the cover. The Fur Fish and Game has color photography and illustrations mostly throughout the whole magazine. The single copy price for the Outdoorsman in 1939 was 15 cents, and the single copy price in 2020 for the Fur Fish and Game is $4.99. You could subscribe for the Fur Fish and Game for $19.95 in 2020. And you could subscribe for the Hunter Trader Trapper Outdoorsman for $2.50 back in 1939. If you figure in inflation, the cost is probably very similar from 1939 dollars to 2020 dollars. 1939 magazine. Let's get a sample of some of the ads and some of the articles. Here's an article or an ad for South Bend fishing tackle. And there's a little column by the famous guide Hank Ruse. I got some ads for Canada calls you to the world's finest fishing. And then Wisconsin muskies are big enough to tell the truth about. So anyhow, a sample there. And then there's an ad for Ontario where the big fellows abound. And some other ads on places to go fishing. Tuna fishing at its best up in Nova Scotia. Fishing in New Brunswick. Here's an article about bear hunting up in Pennsylvania. Comfort in camp, some camp gear. Gunning for wolves. Ski trapping. There's an article about a lake that this fellow went fishing at. There's a moose hunting article, a homemade plan for making a boat. Here's some more ads. I got one for Johnson's famous silver minnow, and then one for some old flashlights. I guess they were new at the time. And take a boy fishing. Here's one for heading rods and baits. The Beans fishing shoe. A little column on saltwater fishing. There's one on a Bendix motor for your boat. There's one for Evinrude motors. So lots of fishing tackle here. Here's a neat little ad here, written more like a story. Says, lucky for my pup, there's so much power in my clean bore 22s. Has some illustrations there, and then it has, that pup showed great promise, but he had more courage than judgment. We were out one day, and the pup was way ahead when a terrific racket broke out. The pup sounded like he'd gone crazy. Then I saw what he had treed, an enormous bobcat crouched down on a limb. Time for one quick shot, but that shot did the trick, and I thank my lucky stars for the wallop those clean bore high-speed 22s have. It's a Remington ad from 1939. Here's an ad for a Savage rifle and a Savage shotgun. A Savage shotgun looks like a single barrel, hammerless, for $10.65. There's a Marlin 22 for $26.95. There's some more. There's an article on trapping in Alaska, an article about dogs, all sorts of stuff in this this magazine. Here's a wear a Vito belt in 10 days at our expense and appear slimmer all at once. So if you wanted to appear slimmer, you would have bought one of those belts back in 1939. Then we have the classifieds in the back. Quite a few classified ads back here. There's an ad for insurance. And on the back cover, there's an ad for river runts are the fish-gettingest baits for all game fish. And you got a fella here with a couple of big bass that he caught on it. So there you have it. A glimpse at 1939, April of 1939. Just to compare to, here's the table of contents of the 2020 April fur fishing game. We have a article about turkey hunting, an article about catfish, beaver, looks like an article of maybe about wild boars, wild hogs, a white bass fishing. Then we have some other articles here, Jungle Quest, raccoon Bratwurst taste test, an easy beaver dam breach set, ghost swamp trail spring line, bow hunting deer with dad. Then we have some departments here. You have the letters from the readers, another department here, readers tips, news and notes from the outdoors, the gun rack, predator hunting, fish and tackle, the trap line, the fur market report, antique trap collecting, which who knows, maybe they're discussing some of the traps that were new back in 1939. And then there's a question box and new products for the practical outdoorsman. So even in 2020, there's still an awful lot packed into each fur fishing game magazine. It looks to me like things have not changed all that much in 81 years. That outdoorsmen, fishermen, hunters, trappers still have pretty much the same interests, maybe a little different approach, but looks like they're pretty much the same as they were 81 years ago.